Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam tabaraka wa sallama tasliman kasiran kasira amma ba'd. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa man ahsanu qawlan mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila salihan wa qala innani minal muslimin. Tuan-tuan, my dear brothers and respected elders, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, have created it to be able to speak, and to be able to speak many different languages, innumerable numbers, countless number of languages in the whole world. That not to talk about dialects. If we include dialects, there will be even countless numbers of dialects in each languages also. So it is said that those days when there is no good communication, people are not interacting with each other very frequently. About 12 kilometers there will be a new language. So my dear brothers and respected, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who have created us to be able to speak and to be able to speak different languages. So people are living in their own areas and then start industrial revolution in Europe. And then the European people start to think of enlarging their territories in order to have more raw materials. The British went out to venture the world and to amass areas and new territories as their colonies. So a large part of the world governed at that time by the British Empire. British even made a company, British company, East India Company, to control all the territories on the east of India. That include Malaysia. Used to be named as Persekutuan Tanah Melayu. So when they colonized Malaya at that time, they want to get wealth. So whatever wealth is there in Malaya, they want to take it to England. So whatever available at that time was the tin ore, a lot of tin ores in Malaysia, but the local Malays are not willing to work. So they import foreign workers whom they think will be suitable for this type of work were the Chinese. So many Chinese were taken over to Malaysia to come and work at the same time to start business. Then they thought, why don't we grow rubber trees in Malaysia? They got it in South America, in Brazil. They said they are the same weather, so rubber trees will be suitable to Malaysia. So they grow. So who is going to work to tap the rubbers? They said the local Malays are also not interested to become workers, so they have to take foreign workers. So they say we have taken the Chinese, part of our colonies there, to come to Malaysia to work on the tin, or we can never use the Chinese again. Or the better person suitable for this are the Indians. Not the North Indian, the South Indian, the Tamil people. So large numbers of Tamil people are taken over to Malaysia. So they live in rubber estates, and they talk Indian, they maintain their culture, they maintain their religion. The same as the Chinese, they live within their community, they don't mix with the Malay. The Indian and the Chinese are not made to mix, because they have different occupation, different area of living. So when they want to get independent in 1957, when they want to get independence, prior to that, the British said, we can give you independence, but you must take the Chinese and the Indian with you. You must give them citizenship. The Malays, led by who? Led by this, the father of Hussein On, which is, his name is Dato' On Jaafar. So he came back. He said the British will never give us independence unless we take Chinese and Indian to be in our party, which is that time known as UMNO. So we must take Chinese and Indian to be in our party. Otherwise we will never be able to get. So the Malay people said no, never. Never, never, ever. So the Malays are very racist. So Dato' On Jaafar was very frustrated. He formed another party called Parti Negara. He left UMNO. So the UMNO people left without a leader. So they went and said, who is going to take over the leadership of UMNO? So they remember. They want Tengku. They said, Tengku Abdul Rahman came back from England, doing nothing. So he's a good person. Some people know him and his character of softness and humbleness. So they approach him and he is willing to take over the leadership. Then he got a bright idea. He said, we form three parties. Not a party UMNO consists of Chinese and Malay and Indian, but a different party. UMNO, the Malay party, another party for the Chinese is called Malaysian Chinese Association, MCA. Another one is Malaysian Indian Association, MIC. So they collected the three parties together, they called Perikatan. And they contested in 1955 election. And the Parti Perikatan wins a majority seats. Then Parti UMNO, one group of party, then left UMNO to form Parti Islam Malaysia. So they say they want to fight for Islam. UMNO is not good enough for Islam. So then that Parti Islam contested in Kelantan and win one seat in the first general election. So Malaysia has been governed by that Parti Perikatan, and later on named as Barisan Nasional, for nearly 6 decades, 60 years. In 2018 general election, the 14th general election, that party collapsed. Led by Najib Razak, the son of our second Prime Minister, Tun Abdul Razak. That's the history part. So now Malaysia is a multiracial country. Even though we are multiracial, but the Chinese live in their community, the Indians live in their community, the Malays live in their. They don't really interact that much, but they don't fight, they don't quarrel, they tend to respect each other, respect each other's culture and religion. And so far, it's so good, unless, other than the 1969, we have a Russian riots between the Malays and the Chinese. The Chinese ones tend to have power, they tend to show their jaws. They tend to show their strength, but if they don't have power, they keep quiet. Quiet and humble. But wait and see when they win any election. in the 1969, they win a little bit. Oh, the Chinese start to show their strength. They make demonstration and they curse the Malays. They say something bad about the Malays. They were very angry. And that caused the riots in Kuala Lumpur. And there were curfew. And then after that, we stopped democracy. We got a government ruled by the king. And the king appointed Tun Abdul Razak to become the prime minister. It was nearly 3-4 years, from 1969 to 1974. Then only we have another general election. And on that general election, the Party Islam, who has detached from UMNO in 1955, come back to UMNO, and now they're called Barisan Nasional. On that election in 1974, they have overwhelming majority, almost. The Malays all joined together and vote for Barisan Nasional. Then after the 1979, in the 1974, in the era of Tun Abdul Razak, many Malaysians are sent abroad, the Malays, because one of the mission of the new government is to upgrade the welfare of the Malays, who all the while has been financially poor, very poor, because they're not willing to work. They don't want to work at the tin mine, they don't want to work at the rubber field, they don't want to do anything except to do fishing and working with the British, working with the government. They're very lazy. So the Chinese used to say these Malays are very lazy, the Indians say these Malays are very lazy. So this Samad, he's Indian. His forefathers come from Azamgarh, come here. There are farmers there and they start farming also here. So his father used to say, don't follow the Malays, lazy Malays. So Samad is all in his mind until today, that the Malays are lazy, and the Chinese says the Malays are lazy. So Tun Abdul Razak then started, the new policy, new economic policy, where they want to raise the social status of the Malays. So the only way to do that, to send bright Malays, good students to abroad, to become engineers, doctors. So all along in the 1967, 69, 68, 69, 70, 71, till many in 1980, many students, Malay students in America, in Australia, in England. I was one of them. I was a bright student being sent to America in 1974. It was early part of the programs. So I come back as an optometrist, and I set up, with the permission of a faculty of optometry in National University of Malaysia, and by virtue of that, many Malays, become optometrists, which never before. There's no optometrists at all, among the Malays. So Professor Makno Hakim said to me, Nasoha, we must set up the faculty. If otherwise, there will be no Malays. Similarly, we must set up the medical faculty. Otherwise, there will be no Malays. So we have all the Malays come from abroad. They become the lecturer in the various universities. Now, in all universities in Malaysia, most of the lecturers now are Malays. The Chinese, Indian, very few. And they become doctors, engineers now, Malays. So they start to they work in the corporate companies like Petronas, oil and gas, the government. So we see the Malays at this point, there are many intellectuals and Malays who are successful, and so the Chinese and the Indian now stop talking. Malays are lazy. We don't hear that Malay lazy as much as we hear before. In those days, in the 70s. Oh, in the 70s, 80s, that was a normal word. Because generally all Malays are not, there are very few doctors among them, very few engineers, few lecturer, professor. In University Malay, all the lecturer, professors are Chinese and Indian. and very difficult to graduate from University Malaya at that time. A Malay who study engineering, medical, very difficult to graduate. They usually fail. And but now no. There's so many universities in Malaysia. So many Malays are lecturer, professor. So they become head of the faculties. They do research. So Malaysia has, the social structure of Malaysia has been uplifted by that policy. New economic policy, only except a few Malays, whom the government sent them abroad, they failed. Like this Sufyan is one of those, he went there only in the 90s. In the 90s? Not like me, in the 70s. I was very much senior. 32 of us from several residential schools in Malaysia consists of brilliant students. 32 of them were sent to Australia prior to the results of Malaysian Certificate of Education to do our matriculation there and then to enter all the various top universities in Australia. I was able to enter University of Melbourne to do optometry. I'm the first Malay to do optometry, the first Malay to do optometry in the University of Melbourne. Until today, there is no Malay ever able to enter into that faculty until today. I'm the only one and the first one. I did my master also from that university. You see, if I don't go, then if I don't open the faculty of optometry, there will be many optometrists here in Malaysia, among the Malays. No. So I become a legend now. When they talk about history of optometry in Malaysia, the legends is Nasoha. Because somehow or other, I with another person, a lady, Professor Norani Mohidin, together we set up the faculty of optometry in the university, Malaysian National University. So my dear brothers and sisters, this is that history. History of multiracial country consists of mainly Malays, Chinese and Indians. We formed the Malaysia and then later on Sabah and Sarawak. In 1963 joined the Federation of Malaysia to form Malaysia. And then instead of Malays, Chinese and Indian, we have also Kadazan and Ibans. So it is a complex country, country with a lot of multiracial diversity. We come to Malaysia, you see, diverse culture, and yet they are united, in harmony, living with harmony. Why they can live with harmony? Because they tolerate each other. They tolerate others, Of course, they don't like the Malays, they are racist. The Chinese also racist, the Indians also racist. But they have some tolerable, they can tolerate to a certain extent. But if they can't, then they will quarrel. That tolerable, that tolerance level which they so far able to administer or able to acquire has enabled Malaysia to become a country of peace. And if you come to Malaysia, you will see Chinese, Malay, Indian living with like brothers and sisters with their different foods and different style and religion, different church, cathedrals and house of worship, Chinese, Indians, their temples, the Malays with their mosques, all of them. And when they work, and then when they go back to their own community. The Chinese went to their community, the Indian went to their community. They seldom go. Even we build flats, one row will be mainly Chinese, one row only Indian, because the Malays do not like to live beside the Indians. They usually make noise, a lot of doing sermons, religion, their religious rites are usually very noisy. The Chinese don't pray so much. They only pray to ask for money. Every morning they'll pray to their God to ask money. And they got signs in front of their house, and the Indians too, to show they are Hindus and they are Buddhists. Malays will have Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So when we do our Jawla, our gush from house to house, we know that that house belongs to non-Muslim, that house belongs to Muslim. And so far no one have ever, beat us or show any antagonistic response. All of them, if they want, they will listen. If they don't want, they will say, I'm not sorry, I'm not free. The Chinese and the Indian. Then we leave them. We don't also force them. We don't even try to convince them or to tell them we want to make you Muslim. No. We only to invite you. If you wish, you can do. If you don't, it's up to you. It's your choice is yours. Can we give time? Can we take time from you? So they say yes. So when we say to them, then finally we say, you think about it. And that's when we do the work like that. There is no problem. There's no quarrel. The problem is when we stand wanting people to become like you. You shouldn't admire differences. We shouldn't recognize that we should be different. We should be one, same. Then we have problem. We should admire differences. We should welcome differences. But of course, we can invite them to become Muslim. If their choice is they don't want to come to become Muslim, it's their choice. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a choice. What are we to force anybody to embrace our religion? There is no force. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only, if it is okay, if it is allowed to force people to become Muslim, there's no one who can force except Allah. Allah easily can, say, be Muslim, all. Everybody will become Muslim. We become one nation, the whole world. There will be no people who believe in any other religion except Islam. But Allah doesn't do that. Allah says, I give you a choice, a time to live in the world and to make the choice. And the Muslim, you have to do the work to present the people the choice. Now, they're only Hindus, they're only Christian, they're only Buddhists. That's all they know. They don't know about Islam because the Muslims do not give them the choice. Because people, the Rashidi, are not doing the work. We are not doing the work. We do not give the non-Muslim the choice. We must give them the choice. You can either embrace your religion or this religion of ours, which we believe to be the best and the truth. There's no harm for us to believe it is the truth. We have to believe it is the truth. Otherwise, we will not become Muslim. And we should invite the others to Islam, to give them the choice, not to make them Muslim. Our intention of going to them, to the non-Muslim, is not to make them Muslim, to give them the choice. Understand? Tell them this is a choice. You believe in many gods, but I give you a choice that you believe in there is no God except Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. You will listen first to this choice of our. We are giving you the choice, and you can choose either your religion or this religion of the oneness of Allah. The basis of this religion is the oneness of Allah. So, the Muslims are not doing this. The whole world are not doing this. Why? Why we are not doing this? Why we not give them choice? Are we wanting them to go to hellfire? If we don't go to see them, to tell them the choice that they can make, either their religion or Islam, that means we want them to enter hellfire. That means we are not good people. We are not noble. We are not a kind people, kind-hearted people, because we don't even want anybody to enter paradise except ourselves. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us and have given us Islam. Of course, we have our parents who are Muslim, and by virtue of that, we also become Muslim. But it doesn't mean that we have become Muslim because of our own right, our own effort. It is the mercy of Allah. It is the mercy of Allah that we have a mother and father who are Islam, and it is the mercy of Allah that we have followed our father and mother, and we ourselves now become Islam. But with the kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, there is a responsibility which we don't know. There is a work which is to be done with recitation of the kalima. The kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah is actually a recitation which carry an obligation, a responsibility to it. What is that obligation? And we have to invite the people to good, and to forbid people from evil. That is the obligation that coined with the recitation of the kalima, which we don't understand now. The 5 pillars of Islam, we only know that the first one is to recite the kalima. We have not mentioned about its obligation. The first is to recite the kalima. The second is to perform 5 times prayers. The third is to perform fasting. Fourth is to give zakat. 6 at heart. That's all. So everybody now understand that the first pillar of Islam is only to recite the kalima, which is wrong. It is entirely false. For more since the time Rasulullah, after he has passed away, we have forgotten this. We have forgotten this obligation which has associated with this recitation of kalima. The Prophet ﷺ, there's a hadith saying, everybody who will recite this kalima will have the virtues of reciting the kalima, the blessing which goes with the recitation of kalima, unless they do not fulfill the right or the obligation, responsibility associated with this kalima. And the Sahabas asked Rasulullah, what is the obligation, Ya Rasulullah? Rasulullah says, when you see evil, you do not forbid the evil. You do not invite the people to good and forbid the evil. When you don't do that, you do not fulfill the obligation of reciting this kalima, which generally the entire Muslim community in the whole world since thousands of years are not fulfilling this obligation. As a result, there are so many non-believers in this world. The fault lies with us. We are the reason why they don't have the choice, because we never offer them the choice. We never go to them. So don't wait for them to come to us and ask. We must go to them. That's why we must do jawla. We must go to the non-Muslim. We must love them. A sign that we love them, that we must give them the choice. If after giving them the choice, they want to remain in their own religion, it's their choice. And when they will be made to fall into hell, when they will be made to enter into hellfire, at that time they will realize they made the wrong choice. When we have gone to give them the choice, or we knock their door and they keep quiet and say, no, we will not listen to these people, it's okay. If they make the choice not to hear to us, it's okay. It's all fine. Because we are not to make them Muslim. We go there not to make them Muslim, to force them, nothing. Allah have never ordered us to force people to become Muslim. Allah asks us to give them the choice. And they make the choice to become Muslim or not to become Muslim. And that is so easy. If some non-Muslim get angry with you when you come and tell them, say, I'm not coming to make you Muslims. I'm coming you to give the choice. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this world to make the choice. Either to believe in Him or not to believe in Him. But, of course, we have to bear the consequences of the choice that we have made. If we have made the choice not to believe in Him, then our place will be in the hellfire. And in this world, there will be no peace and no tranquility. There will be no love and affection among men. If men are to choose not to believe in Allah, not to follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then the turmoil, the trouble, unhappiness will be befallen on us in this world. We'll be busy fighting and killing each other like the jinns. And then when we die, we will enter hellfire. But when we make the choice to believe in Allah, to believe in the Prophet, to follow the way Prophet ﷺ have done, and the first thing is to invite the people to Allah, to invite them to good, forbid them from evil, with the way, in the way of Muhammad ﷺ, with the intention to please Allah, until Allah is pleased. Then we will have the results of having to choose to believe in Allah and to believe Muhammad Sallam is peace and harmony in this world, love and affection, and in the hereafter will be made to enter paradise. What a good choice to make! But if we don't want, it's our choice to go to hellfire. So we shouldn't blame Allah for throwing us into the hellfire, for giving us, life in this world which are unhappy and trouble, because it's our choice. We have made the wrong choice. As a result of the wrong choice, we have unhappiness in this world, and in the hereafter, as a result of the wrong choice, we go to hellfire. Allah is our Rabb, who is most merciful and compassionate. He loves us. He wants us to be successful. He wants us to become believer with a good deed. He sent prophets. He sent prophet with books, pamphlets, as a guide for men to know the truth. And in the absence of the prophet, we shouldn't stop the work of inviting people to good and forbidding people to evil, because the work of inviting people to Allah, or the work of inviting people to good, forbidding people, is obligatory not only on the prophets, but on the followers of the prophet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to Prophet Sallam, tell them, Kul, hazihi sabili, ad'u ilallah, ala basiratin, ana wa mani tabani. The meaning of the Quran, tell Muhammad to your followers, this is my path, this is my way, this is my work, to call people to Allah with basira means with firm belief in my heart that is the truth. And this is my path, this is my work, this is my way, and the way of those who follow me. And it's clear, it's Quran. It's not hadith. You can argue that maybe false hadith. No, you can never say this is false ayat Quran. It's the truth, nothing but the truth. The work of Nabi Sallam is our work, is obligatory. We have incurred ourselves a great wrath of Allah when we don't obey this order of Allah. The very great order of Allah, which is signs to show that we love Allah and we love the creation of Allah. We must love the non-Muslim because they are creation of Allah. We shouldn't hate them and trying to kill them like Yazid used to be. Yazid, before he knows this work, he was thinking only the Malays, and he said the Chinese must be killed in the Indian, and when any accident happen, who has died? Chinese. Oh, let them die. That's what their attitude is. They're like as if death making the Chinese number less in Malaysia. So similarly like Rashidi, they hate the Chinese, the Indian. They don't know. They thought that is the Islamic teaching. Islamic teaching doesn't teach people to hate people, to love. As a sign of love, we must do the work of inviting people to Allah, inviting people to good, forbidding people from evil with love and kindness. Not to go them and to make quarrel with them, to when they say anything wrong and we fight back. No, we humbly say, forgive me. And turn away from them, go away from them, and leave them in a good state of mind. Not like Rashidi. Rashidi not only quarreling with the Indian when the Indian turned him down, he quarreled also with his wife every day, every minute. He told me, as a result of that, he got Iman and lose Iman. He got Iman, lose Iman. And he asked me, is quarreling with wife, Iman will be disappear? I said, yes. I already said him a long time ago. But he never remember, never want to do. As a result, he has no Iman. And he thinks so good of himself that he do dawah. He do dawah, yes, but he has no Iman. Because he keep on losing Iman by quarreling. Not with the people, with his wife. What a silly and stupid people. So my dear brothers, we have to do this work. With this work, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us Iman. Very strong Iman and faith in Allah. And with this strong faith in Allah, only then we can obey the orders of Allah. In the way of Muhammad Sallam, with the intention to please Allah until Allah is pleased. And when we become the lover of Allah, what more is honored than to become the lover of Allah? And much more if we also love Allah. It's very difficult to love Allah, but Allah surely love us. Believe me, Allah is never hate us. When Nuh alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to destroy his people who doesn't believe in him, Allah is not happy. And he, as a lesson to Noah, he asked Noah to build plates from clay. And after Noah has making the plates, and he said, "Oh no, throw the plates away, destroy it." Noah said, "How can Allah? I have made it painfully, have done this plate, and then you ask me to destroy." Then Allah said, "The same as you. You asked me to destroy my creations." Oh, then only Noah realized he has made mistake. He is very scared of Allah. So in the day of Qiyamah, when people asking him, "Oh no, you please come to, we will plead Allah," so that the day of the judgment will start. They say, no, I've done mistake. I dare not to ask him." They go from prophet to prophet until they go to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then only the Prophet sallallahu makes sajda, and Allah says, "Oh my beloved, what do you want?" Oh Allah, start the judgment as soon as possible. So my dear brothers, Allah do not like us to kill each other, to hate each other, because He is a lover, He is the fountain of love. We should inherit His quality, then only become the vicegerents of Allah. To become Khalifa of Allah is not to become ruler, who having power. To inherit, to become the vicegerent of Allah, the Khalifa of Allah, is to inherit the quality of Allah. The most important quality that we have to inherit is the quality of merciful and compassionate. When we recite the Quran, we start with the reciting before we recite the Quran with the verse Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, most merciful and most compassionate. These qualities we have to inherit. If we are able to inherit this quality, only then we deserve to be called the vicegerent of Allah or the Khalifa of Allah. And in order to have that, we must have Iman. And in order to have Iman, we must do the work of inviting people to Allah, inviting people to good, and to forbid people from evil in the way of Muhammad SAW, with the intention to please Allah, with the sacrifice of our wealth and our person, until Allah is pleased.